What are your worst college roommate horror stories? NSFW. My roommate was a born-again Christian who did not allow alcohol or women in the room. If he saw alcohol he would go to the floor manager and demand a room check since we were not allowed on campus. The floor manager would come in and ask, "Do you have alcohol?" and I would reply no. The floor manager would try to leave and the roommate would burst in from the hallway and say yes. He does. But would not find it. I hid it in his closet every time. He never figured that part out. Literally the same process would happen with women in the dorm after 11 PM. Same to act play. Same hiding place. He would always scream about the women when they came in. "My mama didn't raise me to shack up with no woman," was his favorite phrase. I asked more and more women to come in and stay until exactly 10 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds PM every night. Eventually he dropped out of college from the stress. I guess I am the monster. Previously posted the last time around. Here. My roommate was this geeky 400-pound guy who watched Sailor Moon in the original Japanese. He had a tiny red-headed girlfriend who regularly beat the it out of him in daily life. And he let her. On like 6 PM on a Thursday. He suddenly asks me if I can vacate the dorm room until 11. As they're going to have some romantic time. I was a little pissed he gave me no warning. But left anyways. Get back at midnight and walk into a scene of her in black vinyl bondage gear with a riding crop and a taxi driver's hat. Riding him. With him covered in welts from head to toe. Nope the hell right out of there. What a legend. Something about weird nerd sex warms my heart. A true romantic you are. Quick break. Whether you're looking for entertainment, education or inspiration, Audible has audiobooks for everyone. Link in the description for a 30-day free trial. I had a university flatmate who was a bit crazy. It started out with her just stealing my food. I couldn't leave anything in the kitchen for more than 12 hours or she'd have it, and putting passive-aggressive notes up in our kitchen calling me a liar. I have food allergies but apparently I was making them up. She was nasty to anyone I had over. She took all my crockery and put it on top of the cupboard so I couldn't reach it and I had to climb up and get it all down. She then convinced all of the guys in my flat to take the kitchen furniture and pile it outside my door so I couldn't get out of my room. I got the flu. She spent a day screaming at me through the wall whilst I alternately cried and slept until my parents came and drove me home. It got to the point where I was considering dropping out of university. But I asked to be put in another flat as a last resort. I got moved into a flat with 5 guys and it was so much messier but so much nicer. Edit. Some people are suggesting that I did something to make her this crazy. I didn't do anything. That's why her behavior was just not understandable in any way. I had my own friends. I kept the kitchen tidy when I used it. I didn't make noise late at night. Whatever. She was just looking for a punching bag. My roommate once invited a girl that was kicked out of her house to stay with us. Keep in mind our dorm room was barely larger than a prison cell. I listened to them duck on the bottom bunk more times than I care to remember. Your roommate definitely thinks you're the itty roommate for not leaving when they wanted to have sex. Freshman year college had bunks. Drunk roommate comes home before me. He sleeps on top. He drank too much. He wet the bed like an open fire hydrant apparently. I came home later and sat down in a flash flood puddle on mine soaked to the core. Needless to say I threw it in the shower and told him to get me a new one. Edit. Apparently this is not that uncommon and the magic pee theory still holds up. Itch didn't pay rent for 3 months and we didn't know until after our lease was up. Was just resolved 6 months ago and graduated 2 years ago. Will never sign a joint lease again. One of my roommates was accused of raping the other during a night of drunken escapades. My first roommate. Oh the memories. Very heavy. Very socially awkward and definitely psychotic. Often mumbled to himself with shifty eyes. Ate my food. And was either railing against the evils of religion out trying to get me to join the Army of the Virgin or some other Catholic sect. He often lounged around in his tighty whities and refused to clothe himself if I had guests or girls over. He would just sit down and put a blanket over his lap. I walked in on him jacking it or blaring porn a number of times, with which he used my tissues. He would also have long phone arguments with his girlfriend, who according to the wallet photo he had of her, was Greedly from Captain Planet. The kicker for me was when he had a breakdown and called the RA and a counselor in to talk with him while I was writing a paper. He is highly agitated and at one point said I just looked over at Demon Juices while he was asleep and thought to myself I should just take out my knife and kill him then myself. No offense Demon Juices. I was in the zone with the paper so I automatically replied none taken, then did a double take as a horror dawned on me. Nonplussed eye contact with my RA. Nope the duck out and moved to a different floor. This will probably be buried but hopefully someone can benefit from my past misery. My girlfriend lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with her friend. Both I and the roommate's boyfriends lived there. The girls were getting upset at each other and things had been going south. Then one day near the end of a Walking Dead episode we starting talking about problems and talking turned to fighting. Things were said and he pulled a gun on me. I asked why he would do that and if I had been threatening him by yelling while sitting on the couch. He never pointed it at me but he did clock it. My GF pulled me into her bedroom where I called the police. When they got there we had already gone outside with him alone in the other bedroom. When the police entered there was a single gunshot and he ended his life. We left that apartment and never went back except to move out. This is the reason why I don't watch Walking Dead anymore. His GF said he had been feeling suicidal for months. This is why you get help. Help just means telling people. Talk about it. I thought it was just for attention when the GF said he was going to kill himself. It wasn't. It sucks knowing you could have done things differently. And sucks more not knowing if it would have made things better or worse. I have accepted it wasn't my fault. I have moved on. But man do I wish he would have mentioned it at some point. Even as a half joke so I would know it might be true and could help. Serious. I had a housemate, 4-person house, who I asked to take care of my dog over one weekend. I never left any of the responsibilities associated with my dog up to anyone else because the rest of the guys were doing me a favor by letting me have him there anyways. This one housemate wasn't a huge fan of the dog. And when I came home after the weekend, there was it and piss in my room where presumably my dog was kept most of the weekend. His food and water were in there too. So I guess that's something. He was really skittish when I went to say hi to him. So I think my housemate hit or kicked him while I was gone. This happened to my cousin. I was there to witness the aftermath. My cousin is an international college student who had just moved here and barely spoke any English. He moved in with another roommate to offset the ridiculous cost of a NY apartment. His roommate met a pretty cute girl. However, he discussed it with my cousin and agreed that there was something odd about the girl. He didn't want to fully commit to a relationship just yet, but they still hooked up. My cousin also said that his roommate still talked to other girls, but didn't move farther than that. One day my cousin and his roommate were having breakfast in the kitchen. The girl had slept over the night before. The girl wakes up and goes into the kitchen and picks up a knife and stabs his roommate in the neck 3 times. My cousin freezes in shock but then picks up his chair and tried to fend her away. She then takes the knife and stabs herself in the chest. Everyone survives. My cousin cried and called my dad telling him he hates America and wants to go back to China. Sharon used to eat in her room and then slide the plate under her bed. She'd do this every day until my other roommate and I couldn't bear the stink anymore and needed plates for our own dinner. She also regularly invited her drug dealer boyfriend over to hang out in our app during the day. Several times I came home to find deals taking place in our living room. Eventually the cops were called by one of our neighbors and we, not him, were interrogated and searched. Oh, and there's the time she left a sanitary towel sunny side up on the toilet seat in our shared bathroom. I could go on. I've never resided in a college dorm, but I just want to share that once I was in a Skype call with my good friend, who does reside in a dorm. who left his mic on when he left for an extended period of time, allowing me and the other 2 people in our call to hear all his roommates, like 5 other dudes, arguing about who ate the last Pop-Tart. It got pretty intense. Is this what dorm life is like? I am in college and my roommate currently likes to jerk off and leave his used cum issues all over the floor. I have told him to clean up after himself a million times. No flushing or throwing them away. Grosses me out so bad and I never bring my girlfriend to my house because of it. Dude shaved his chest hair in the kitchen. Also, had a super loud Asian girlfriend who screamed during sex, even when we had people over. I had a roommate that would mix booze and pills. One night she fell asleep with her vibrator doing its thing. She woke up when the batteries ran out. At least she had some fun dreams. I lived in a suite with 3 other girls. 2 of the girls awesome. The 3rd can go duck herself. She was nuts. She would break into my room and dispose of anything that was against the rules. My lighter? Trash. Candles? Even though I had a ducking candle warmer, trash. I bought a box of condoms for all the girls and placed it in the bathroom cabinet. She had a ducking hissy fit saying it was gross. I ended up having to put them somewhere out of her view. If I had a boy over, she would purposely interrupt us so we weren't doing anything while she was in the dorm. She once came home sobbing and screaming that she got fingered and had to go get a pregnancy test. My suitemates had to sit her down and explain that she couldn't get pregnant that way. The last straw was when I woke up to her screaming at my suite. Shy suitemate because she left her hairbrush on the counter. That itch made her cry. I went to NRA and we had a sit down with everyone. She would admit to nothing. I asked to move rooms and was denied. I just ignored her and went home every chance I got until school was over. I visited an old friend there a bit ago and ran into that itch. She gained 50 pounds and was sobbing her eyes out on the stairs. I lolled. Edit, I have more stories. But I didn't want to make this too long. Also, sorry for any grammar issues, misspellings. My freshman roommate installed a sliding bolt lock on the door to our shared dorm room so that I couldn't enter while he was in bed with girls he brought in, which was so random I could never tell when he'd be using the room. The worst part was when I'd get back very late, wanting to get in the room and go to sleep, and he'd have me locked out in the hallway, especially when I had an early class. Even when I waited patiently in the hall, he refused to unlock the door, until one night I knocked harder, and he threw a glass full of ice water in my face as he finally opened it. I had 2 roommates. One who I'm still with best friends today and the other who is the subject of this story. He was black and a straight up ignorant asshole. He would always play the race card and then tell about how he and his homies would shoot their guns at the police in high school. So yeah, typical douche. But this story focuses on his violent domestic abuse to his girlfriend. Now don't get me wrong, his girlfriend was just an idiot for dating an asshole like him. Anyways, one night me and the other roommate heard yelling and screaming from the dorm lounge that was next door. All of a sudden I hear, "Stop hitting me. Stop hitting." As it turns out, this asshole punches his GF in the face more than once. I'll never forget that screaming. The next day me and the other roommate went to the housing agency at the university and told them what happened. And they did absolutely nothing. Eventually they broke up. And now that arsehole is a lawyer. Only in America. When I was a freshman, my roommate basically had his girlfriend, whose own room was on our floor, move into our small dorm. They were banging all the time for 4 solid months. I'm waking up, ducking, going to sleep, ducking, got back from class, ducking. It was completely out of hand. It was every day at least 5 times for months. There were empty bulk condom boxes everywhere on his side. I basically couldn't be in my room. One day, I just wanted to come home from a long day, sit down and play Mortal Kombat with friends in my room. But you guessed it. That it was locked. I went to our lounge, dejected, and told my friends I really just want to walk in there, sit down, and play just to spite them. One friend looked up at me and said, "Why don't you?" I was shocked. Then I nodded and said, "Yeah. Why don't I? Let's go, boys." So without even knocking, 12 people followed me as I unlocked the door, walked in, refused to acknowledge them, turned on my Xbox, and we played for hours. They just sat there for a while dumbfounded. That's the same week I changed rooms. Next one wasn't too much better, but at least I could be in it.